Hey, everybody. How's everybody doing tonight? Let's see. Who all we got in here? We see Brooklyn's Honeybee stop by. Thank you so much for stopping by. They're in the UK, so it's almost midnight there. And, you know, got to get some sleep sometime. Hey, Miss Annette Morgan. Let's see who else we got. We got Tom, LG Bass. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. Oh, I've been waiting on Stan. I didn't send him the link. Give me just a minute and let me do that real fast. Sorry about that. Still a rookie. Oh my goodness. And there's Miss Lizabella from our Anglerholics. Give me just a second. Let me get this link. Oh, goodness gracious. Hey, Half Century Catfishing. Welcome in. So glad you came by. There's JBT. Thanks for coming in. There's Miss Tanya Hollis. Hey, my friend. And Dale Hayslip. Thank you for coming in. So good to see everybody. Let's see if we can find StreamYard here really fast. And we will get started. I was wondering why he wasn't backstage, and that would explain it. Let's see here. Let's see. Whiskers and Stripes. Welcome in, Ricky. So glad you came in. Appreciate you. I'm really excited about fishing tonight. Tonight will be my very first challenge. And I'm excited about it. I'm hoping I get on a big old flathead. What you do, Brian? Get a new job and just get busy at the shop? I don't know. Let's see. Copy. Okay. Mr. Stan is coming. Okay. He now has the link. So he should be here in just a minute. Hey, Michelle. Welcome in. So glad to see you. Thank you guys for coming in. I really appreciate each and every one of you. I'm really happy. It looks like we've already got 12 people in here, which is fantastic. And Miss Lisabella, she actually, her and her brother ended up helping me make a intro video, and I was trying to get it figured out, and I couldn't get it figured out. No, I don't take side bets. No. No, Tom, I know better than that, especially not with Jody. No. Absolutely not. At least not right now. When I'm in my own craft, when I have my own boat or kayak or whatever I end up getting, if I do, it's looking kind of sketchy right now, but it is what it is. With me getting sick and having to go in the hospital, I've got a lot of bills that I certainly weren't counting on. So, right now I'm just trying to get by. So hopefully it'll work out. And once I get in my own vessel, then I'll start playing a little bit. But until I can control my destiny, I'm not going to be able to do it. All right. Look who's here. There he is.
Hello. What's up, everybody?
I forgot to send it. I was so busy. Lisabella made us an intro video, and I was trying my best to get it saved so that way. Okay, thank you, Lisabella. So I could play it today, and I just couldn't get it. I could get it to save in everything but MP4. So, but we'll get it figured out.
Technology. It was supposed to make our lives easier. You remember that?
Yeah, I do. I also remember the AOL dial-up. Ding, 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 ding.
I still got that. I'm just kidding.
That was the first internet I had, and that was the very first time I had internet in my home. So
our first one was a local provider. I don't even remember. It was some weird name, but just local. And it took like 15 minutes just to get online. Absolutely. They made all the weird beeps and buzzes.
It made all those growls and stuff. Yeah, it was hilarious. And you would go to log on and then you would walk away for 15 minutes and come back because it took so long.
And then, God forbid somebody was expecting a phone call unless you had a separate line just for that, because it would tie up the phone line. And glad those days are over.
Absolutely. I see Fishing for Whiskers just jumped in, and looky there, we got Brian B. Catfishing. Thanks for coming in,
What's up,
guys.
bro?
I appreciate that so much. I appreciate everybody taking the time and spending. I just kind of wanted to take a second here at the first of the show and kind of, let everybody kind of know what my goals and my hopes were. I really want this show to end up being something that, my dream around it is that I really want, parents to come home and get their kids dinner and have enough time for all of that. And maybe pull it up on the TV and sit around and have a family time for an hour and just, spend some time with us and learn some stuff and laugh with us and make it a family affair. I really want as many kids as to be a part of this as we possibly can. And, I really, I've said that, I want it for new anglers and kids. And it certainly isn't just for kids. It's for any new angler, no matter what their age.
Well, let me stop right there, Cos, because
Okay.
I've been fishing over 5 decades, and I have learned something each and every week that we've been doing this. So, yeah, you're right. It's not just for kids. I don't care how long you've been fishing. When you're talking about it, you can always learn something.
Even if it's just one little thing, and it
Yeah.
may remind you when you do take your kids fishing or take someone that hasn't fished, it might kind of just allow you to get in a different mindset. And I just want it to be something fun for families and we're going to keep it clean. We're definitely going to keep it clean in chat, not going to allow anything, off because I really want to encourage as many young people as we possibly can. Doesn't matter if they're 5 years old or if they're 10 years old. It doesn't matter, however old they are. I want them to be able to come in and enjoy and get excited about fishing. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there and I really want it to be a family affair.
And there's, what's up, Dale? A bunch of people. Hello, everybody saying hello to me. And we got 12 awesome people watching right now.
Mm-hmm.
And if anybody out there, we're trying to do a weekly interview segment, and it may only be a 15-minute segment, but we're trying to do a weekly interview segment with a young angler out there, whether it be somebody that's already been a young angler that's been fishing for a little bit already, or somebody just getting going. But so if anybody out there, if you have any youngsters or your nieces or nephews or your own kids, whatever, grandkids, that would love to come up and just be interviewed for a few minutes. We're not talking the whole hour. It might even be 10, 15 minutes, but that's something that we'd like to do every single week. Feature a brand new young angler every week. And so if anybody knows of anybody out there that would like to do that, or if you want to come on as the family even, with the parents and the kids, and we'll interview the whole family of anglers, just contact Kaz. Your email, or what's the best way to get in touch with you, Kaz?
Let me ask chat because I'm not sure if you can see it. Do I have a ticker running at the bottom of the screen, guys? Because I tried to do it. I don't know if I did it successfully or not, because that's going to have my email and the and my links to my PayPal and my Venmo. Did that end up showing up? And hopefully I'll get them tonight, Ricky. I am supposed to go fishing with her tonight, so I hopefully I'll get them tonight.
And that's right. For those that don't know, the Flathead Challenge has started again Thursday night, 10 p.m. on the pontoon, Jody. I have just been running all day, all week pretty much, so I'm worn out. My brain's not working. There we go.
Figured it out. Woohoo!
So Pontoon Jody tonight, 10 p.m. is the Flathead Challenge. It's week number 2.
Absolutely. And it's going to be nothing but fun. And, I also here at the beginning of the show, I also really want to put a push in there for Pontoon Jody. She does a lot for our community. Everybody knows she's a great friend of mine, but she's also a great angler, and she's fun, and she keep things interesting, and we really want to get her over that 1K. So if there's anybody in the chat that could drop her link for me, I would really appreciate that. And also, if you could drop Anglerholic's link for me, because we definitely want to appreciate them so much for being willing to help me with anything with the show that I've ever needed, and making that intro video. I'll have it queued up and ready for next week. It's fantastic. And also, of course, Mr. Two Stands, we want to get him up there as well. So let's drop those links for them. Okay, Tom, I'll be happy to. I'll be happy to help you. Hey, Murillo, welcome in.
What makes me happy is seeing everybody else do well. And I was supposed to tell a story.
Tell it. Remember, you're allowed to tell that story over here.
We got 17 awesome people watching. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Absolutely.
That story is just very simple. One of the best days of my life with some awesome, my son and Dan. Pretty much you know how I feel about both of them. But yeah, it was a day, it was a moment, it was 2 hours and 22 minutes of a lifetime. It was just absolutely amazing.
Love it. Hey, Avid, thanks for watching us on the big screen. I'm not sure about that one. That's awful close. But thank you for watching, Avid. I always appreciate you. And let's go ahead and drop Avid's link as well. This weekend, I am hosting the Channel Catfish tournament with him. That's going to be my first time hosting an event, and I'm really excited about that. So, yeah, Murillo, it is a sturgeon safe place. I'm sorry, but I have to do it. Though everybody gives him a hard time everywhere else, and if he wants to tell his sturgeon story here, he can. There's Johnny Smallpepper just jumped in. Hey, man, how are you? Welcome in. But well, tonight we've been doing a lot of talking, but that's okay. That's what we do best. We're going to talk about bobbers. We have went over basically your line about how to spool a spin caster and a spinning reel. We've went over, what else did we went over, Stan? Let's see. We went over hook. Well, we went over hooks a little bit, but what else did we do?
Knot tying.
Knot tying. That's right. We taught a few basic knots, and we just started out with the basics, and we'll get more in depth as we go.
And the first week, you were just dropping a bomb full of knowledge about fish. That was just, I learned a lot of stuff that week. That was, like I said, I've been fishing over 5 decades. Mm-hmm. And I truly have learned something each and every week. So It's been awesome.
We had fishing trivia. So we've got all kinds of good stuff going on over here. Like a sturgeon caught for the very first time. It's funny that you put that, LG, because it's so funny because on the boat with Jody, she can say it because she caught one, of course.
That's right.
I don't care. I'll pay my $2.22. I'll pay my $2.22. I've paid several, and that's okay. I'll be happy to. But there's never a night that we go fishing that we don't sing that.
And we got to come up with one for the paddlefish that you caught, because that's an amazing fish also.
It was pretty cool. It was a really cool catch. It really was. And actually, speaking of Jody hooked one this past week, and it was much bigger than the one I had because she sent me a picture of the hook, and it completely bent her. Yeah, it completely bent her hook out. It was crazy. So we definitely have a lot of spoonbills in the water around here. So she got it up to the boat. She saw it, and it ended up taking a dive, and she wasn't able to get it in the boat. But I got mine in the boat. That's all I'm gonna say. But I couldn't have done it without her. So, hey, Sunfish for Fish, welcome
Well,
in. And Dallas Liebert jumped in. Welcome.
I can understand that whole thing of not being able to do something without some other people around. So I can
Some,
definitely appreciate that.
sometimes you need a friend. Sometimes you need somebody with you to help you get those big old fish. We fish for big fish. And, we're talking about small fish right now. But, when you're catching a 40-pound fish, sometimes you need a little help.
And let's face it, you hit a hole in one in golf, you catch a big fish, you do. It's always better to have somebody else there with you to just be right there in the moment. And not only did I have Stan 3 and Dan with me, we had a few hundred people out there watching live. So, you talk about just an amazing moment. What's up, David Smith? And, I'm pretty excited about tonight's show because I think that bobbers and floats, they're an underrated thing here in the fishing gig, especially even with catfishing, because there is a lot of techniques that just rely on that bobber or the float.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I am too. Absolutely. And Stan and I were talking a little earlier, and I was telling him that, I've never fished with a lot of bobbers. I certainly know how to put them on a line, and I certainly know, what their use is and all of that. But when I was growing up, the person that I had taking me fishing was my father, and he was very restrictive on, I could only fish for what he fished for. And I could only fish for it the way that he fished for it. There was never any alterations or changes or anything. And so instead, he had me casting the line all the time, getting caught in trees and doing everything that kids do, doing everything that John Parker does, and I do still. We all have caught several trees in our life. Let's be honest. And
I just caught a tree the other night, so
yeah,
I'll raise my hand.
We all know I'm Team John Parker, so that was just a joke. I catch a lot of trees. I have in my life. I've caught hundreds of trees. So, it just, and it gets frustrating, and I get that. But sometimes you've got to adapt the way that you do things according to whom you're with. And a new angler, sometimes, especially when you say, okay, well, cast the line out, and then you go to the front of the boat and you start fishing, then you don't have anybody to ask questions to. And that was my experience. And so, I want to make sure that doesn't happen to another kid. Because that could have deterred me from wanting to fish my whole life. And I'm really glad that it didn't. But it can. But I see Lance Makuga came in here, and let's see who else we got. We got Alvin Lewis. Welcome in, guys.
We are up to 24 awesome, amazing Catfish family people out there. Thank you. And not just Catfish family, fishing family, because we all have the same, most of us have the same memories. We all remember that first fish that we caught. We all remember who introduced us to fishing, how we learned this or how we learned that. We all have dreams of that next big fish, whether it's a hundo catfish or a 10-pound bass or a whatever size trout, or Lance out there with his burbot that he catches. And we all have those same dreams. We all have those same memories. And, that is what's awesome about it.
Mm-hmm. I totally agree. And at the end of the evening, we're going to have, thank you, Annette, and everybody that's been dropping links. I really appreciate that. We're going to give away a multi-size pack of bobbers. And so it's got all different sizes in there for you to try. And, that way you can sit down and show the kids how to do it and let them try it. And if they break every one of them, that's okay. You're not out any money. And I bet by the end of this pack, I bet they know how to put a bobber on the line. So
I have a question for you, Kaz. Do you have any of those bobbers, the snap-on bobbers like that? Do you have any of those to show how to do it?
Like this one?
There you go. Perfect. Okay. Because I've got about everything else. I just don't have one of those. I couldn't
Okay,
find
well,
one.
I've got a line in the bobber, so I can definitely show
Perfect.
this one. So we'll start out with this one.
And I'm pretty excited about all the other stuff that I've got here, bobbers and floats and everything else. So
I'm excited about it too because I'm going to learn something from you tonight, and I'm excited about that.
I hope so. I hope so.
Absolutely. Well, we'll go ahead and jump right on in.
And
Let's see.
just 1 second there, Kaz. Lance, he says the young man I'm teaching to fish is enjoying it. He bought his first rod by himself and got a talking to from me and is now respecting his mom. So Lance, if that young man, if you feel like he could do an interview even with you, we'd love to talk to him. Maybe that might give him some boost of self-esteem and being a featured angler here on the show. So let us know about that.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because number one, what it will do is it will give kids the spotlight. And I don't know a kid that doesn't like to be in the spotlight. Mommy and daddy may be on YouTube, but they never get to go on because they have to sit there. I don't care if they're crazy kids. Kids are going to be crazy. I don't care if they get up 15 times. It's not like they have to sit still and have the patience of Job. We're not looking for that. We're looking for kids as kids.
Look at Kaz is co-hosting with the biggest kid out there every week. So,
and I like it. I like it a lot. All right. So on these bobbers, I'm going to go to single screen for just a second.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. So there's Pontoon Jody catfishing. We've been talking about you, girl. Your ears been ringing. Okay.
It was 90% good, Jody. 90% good.
Yeah. Maybe 92. Okay. So this is a bobber. On the bottom of the bobber, you're going to have a little hook that stays inside of the bobber. And if you push the top of it, that comes out. You can see it raise out just a little bit. And all it is a little hook. You see it there and one side of it's open. So the first thing you want to do on these bobbers is to push the button in and expose that. And you want to put your fishing line. Let's see. Where's my hook? Okay. Let me get it to where I can show it. Okay. Wait a minute. Sorry, these are my gardening hands and I've got stuff in my nails. So we've got that and it's exposed on one side. So all you're going to do is you're going to run your fishing line up underneath and let go of the top. And it's attached. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn it over. And the best way I found to do this is to put your thumb on the bottom, bring your line up around. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold it with the other, hold it up against your bobber to secure it. And then be sure and hold the bottom and then push that top. And it's going to expose that same kind of hook at the top. And all you're going to do is put it on just like you did the bottom. And that's it. And this is going to go to your hook. And this part is going to go to your fishing rod. So all you got to do is remember, whenever you tie your hook on, we went over tying your hooks on. You want to tie your hook on. And then you want to come up and put your bobber on. And then you can put your weights in between. And we're going to talk about we're going to talk about weights and all that probably next week. But that's all there is to it. So let me show you one more time. You just push it down to remove it out of the bottom. And then you hold the bottom, because if you don't hold the bottom, it won't expose. So you hold the bottom, push the top, and just pull it right out. And they're so simple and so easy to do. So one more time. The end that goes to the hook, you're going to push this in and expose that little, looks like a little paper clip. You're going to put that line in there. Let it go. And then you're going to run it around the bobber. And I like to hold it with the same finger that I'm pushing it down, because if not, what you'll end up doing is you'll have this line, and then you'll push it down, and if the hook comes out on the inside, it's hard to keep the line up there. So I just let it loose, so that's okay. Let's do it one more time. So we're going to go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, and while you're doing that, as you can see, with those two colored bobbers, and even the other ones, with the two colored ones, you see how the lighter color is always up on top, because you can see that better. So white and red, and they do white and red because that's a huge contrast, so it helps you see the bobber. The yellow and orange, again, it's a big contrast, but the lighter color is always up on top. There you go. And you see on those, there's those and the one that Kaz is having, and even the styrofoam ones, there'll be a peg that comes out of the top. That's always the top part, the one that's got the little peg or coming out the top. That's the top part of the bobber. So that's the one that you want facing away from your hook, so that your hook is floating underneath the dark part, just like that. Yep.
Because that's where your hook is, right there. And that's why whenever you start tying them, that's why I recommend to go ahead and put your hook on and then put your float on. And that way you don't get confused as to which side goes on the bottom and which side goes on the top, because the bottoms are always going to go towards the hook. And then for the top, you just put your thumb on that. Remember, you're going to wrap your line around, push it down, and hook it in. And it's just that simple. And, what you can do is that, say you toss your line in the water and it's been sitting there for, a few minutes and you don't get a bite, then the cool thing is what you need to do is you just need to press down a little bit and just slide it up your line. And you can make different depths depending upon how high you put the bobber on. And so what I've always done is I fish it for a few minutes. If I don't get any bites, then I'll push it up 6 more inches and drop it back down in there until I figure out where the fish are in the water column. And then once you find out where the fish are in the water column, then you don't have to continue to reset your bobber. You know where your bobber goes. So just that simple, guys. Not hard at all. But when you first start doing it, it is a little tricky, just because you've got to push this and you've got to hold this. You do have the things that you have to hold and push. And for a new angler, that can be frustrating. So, we may think that it's super simple, and I do. I do as well. But I remember when I first started putting these on a line, I did not find it so simple. So,
and one of the things as adult anglers or experienced anglers, I've seen one of the sure signs of somebody that's just starting out and they really don't have anybody kind of helping them along is you'll see that bobber. Of course, it's going to be upside down, and they're only going to have about this much line, and the hook's going to be right there. And it'll be this big hook with a rubber worm attached to it. And you can kind of tell, all right, that kid's trying, but there's just no one there helping them, giving them any kind of good information. Just everybody out there, a lot of people think the purpose of a bobber is for say when they got a bite or when there's a strike. Sure, that's one of the purposes of a bobber that floats. However, the main purpose of a bobber or a float is to suspend your bait off the bottom at a certain depth. And that's the main purpose of a float or a bobber, is it lets you put that bait at the exact depth that you wanted it to be. And Todd showed you she showed you a fixed position float, which means that it clips on the line and it's fixed at a certain position. So when you cast it out, that bobber's not going to move on the line. It's going to just fix at a certain position, whatever you set it as. You might have that hook 3 feet, 4 feet. And what happens is the longer that you make that from bobber to bait, the harder it is to cast. So I think that's why a lot of young anglers tend to put the right under the bobber. And chances are there's not a lot of fish you're going to catch right under the bobber.
That's exactly right. And that's one thing. That's a great point, Stan, because that's one thing that I didn't understand about. That's one thing that I didn't understand about a bobber is that, I kept thinking, to me, it was like, well, how do I know how deep to put it? Well, when you're starting out, you don't. That's why you fish it for a few minutes and then you drop it down 6, 8, 10 inches and you try it again and sit until you find out where those fish are in the water column. And then once you start getting a hit, then you can leave your bobber alone for a little while and fish and see, but it's all a trial and error game. It's, you got to try it for a few minutes. And if it doesn't work, we got to change it.
And I mean, you can even use a bobber. I mean, this is a little more detailed, but as you get going, you want to, if you don't have a boat with a fish, with a fish finder or the depth, the electronics in the boat, you're like, how deep is it there? Well, there's some tricks you can use with a bobber to let you know exactly how deep the water is where you're fishing. So it's it's a really underutilized piece of fishing equipment. And the more you learn them, the more like I said, as you start out simple, you clip the bobber on, you put your bait a certain amount underneath it, and a lot of us start out in shallow water for things like bluegills, the sunfish family. And then you might start with using some minnows or some live bait like that. And you're casting it towards the weeds, and you know that it's maybe about 2 or 3 feet deep. So you got that minnow underneath there, about 2 or 3 feet below the bobber, and you're casting it up by some lily pads and that shiner of that minnows. That's how you start going for more of like bass and pickerel, things like that. Even some crappie when in the springtime when they're up shallow around some structure, you've got the live bait suspended underneath the bobber. But that's the main purpose of a bobber or a float is to put your bait in the water column or at the depth, at a certain depth. And that's the main purpose of every bobber, every float out there. That's the main purpose of them.
Absolutely. And to keep it off the bottom, because, a lot of the times we will, especially at like piers and docks and things, there's going to be trees and different things flowing, down in the water, and you want them to be able to fish. But, bobbers also help with hang-ups and to help minimize those. So, if you've got a big tree laying down, you can only go so deep, so they definitely keep your bait off the bottom, and you can go all the way down to where it's right on the bottom, but still off the bottom. So that way it avoids, some of those hang-ups and frustrations. But you ready for yours? You ready to go full?
Sure, I guess we'll do that. And you've had that question up there from Lance. Says you have slip bobber to show the difference between the bobbers. Well, slip bobbers is when I use them, that's mostly what I use. You've got, and basically what Lance is talking about with the slip bobber is it basically just what it says. It's a bobber that what Kaz showed you when you clip a bobber around a line, the kind that she had, and you clip it on. It's there, and you go down a couple of feet, and your hook is there. And once it's clipped, that's exactly where that's going to be. So if you're fishing in 20 feet of water and you want your bait down about 18 feet, you're not going to be able to put a fixed bobber on that line 18 feet up above your hook and be able to cast it. Avid might be able to do it with the 25-foot poles that he uses, but the rest of us, we just can't do it. So what we use is something called a slip bobber. And for that to work, what you have to have is bobber stop, and they sell a bunch of different ones. There's some that you can tie yourself, but basically all it is, it's either a rubber stopper like this, or it's a knot that's tied with fishing line, and it's usually on a little straw piece like this. And basically all that is something that you slide up your line. So if you want your bobber to stop 18 feet up above your bait, you would put your bobber stop 18 feet up from your bait. And of course I just dropped it, so we'll start over.
Yeah, I've never used the rubber bobber stops, but I do have the thread ones. I use the
thread ones, yep. And they basically work the same. The rubber ones normally have it's a little piece of line that comes through it, and it's a loop, and you put it in there and you pull it off like that. And good way, people are like, well, how do I know what 18 feet is? How do I know what 18 feet is online? You know, unless I'm sitting there measuring it. Well, a quick way to do that is if you know that you've got a 7.5 foot pole. Of course, I had this already through the eyes, and then when I picked it up before to move it, it pulled all the way back through. So
it happens to me. I've got 2 fishing rods out in the car that have done that. I'm gonna have to fix them quick when I get to the lake. I'll be tired when I get to Jody's boat.
But again, the main purpose of every bobber is to suspend your bait, or to put your bait at a certain depth in the water column. So basically, with your slip bobbers, what's going to happen is you've got a bobber stop. So we're going to slide this. Like I said, normally this is so we're going to start it there. Now, my rod that I'm using is a 7.5 foot Uncle Lou's rod. Okay.
That's a medium Uncle Lou's rod too.
This is actually one of the ones I'm currently using. So it's a 7.5 foot medium heavy Uncle Lou rod. But so if I start it here at the bottom section, that's 7.5 foot. So I grab my line there and I pull my bobber stop up. You pull it up. Boom, all the way up to the tip. Well, now you know that's 7.5 foot. So now you bring that bobber stop in your hand back down again.
That's a really good idea, to use whatever length of rod that you have as a measuring stick.
And, you know, we joke around about the sturgeon thing, but that's actually how we measured the sturgeon, was using the Uncle Lou rod to measure the sturgeon. So then you bring it back down again. And now I've got the bobber stop back down here. And it's a lot easier when you're not trying to show this on a 3-inch screen. But there's the bobber stop. I've got it down here again. So then pretty much all you do is you grab your line down here at the bottom. And same thing, you pull the bobber stop all the way up to the top again. Well, now we know that 7.5 and 7.5, that's 15 feet. Well, then all we got to do is bring it back down about halfway down the rod, which is going to be about another 3 feet. You do it not quite halfway, and you pull that bobber stop up again. And now that bobber stop is going to stay right there. That's about 18 feet. So you've got 18 feet of line now underneath that bobber stop. Then all you do, you reel all that line back in. And that bobber stop's going to go down inside your reel. Boom, boom, boom. You put your hook and stuff on. I mean, you put the next thing you want to put on from that is the way that the bobber stop works best is if you put a bead on, because then that bead has got the bead has got just a little hole. I don't know if you can see that or not, but the bead's just got a little hole. So you put that on the line, and now what's going to happen is that bobber stop is pretty tight on your line. It's just a small little thing. Well, as that bead slides up, it's going to hit that bobber stop, and it's going to stop right there. So you put that bead on. Then you put on, you know, your swivel and leader, or you can tie just a hook on there, or sinker, whatever, and the hook coming out the bottom. You can, whatever you want to put on from there. Then when you cast out, that sinker is going to pull the line down. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what I forgot? You put the bead on, and then, of course, we're talking about the bobbers. You got to put the bobber on. I forgot all about the bobber.
Very important.
So this here is this one is one of the Muddy River. This is one of the Muddy River bobbers, and it's basically just got a swivel at the bottom. So you got your bobber stop up 18 feet. You put your bead on, then you put this on, and then now that'll slide up and down. So as you cast this, when you reel it all the way up, you're only going to have, you know, from the tip of your pole down, the bobber is going to be sitting right there like that. Down here is your hook and your sinker and everything. So you've got it reeled up. You've only got this much from the bottom, from the tip of your pole when you go to cast. So it's very easy to cast. When it hits the water, the bobber is going to stay up on top, and it's just going to pull down like this. It's going to pull down like this until it slides all the way down. So it slides all the way down the reel. There's the bead, and there's the bobber stop. You see the green? The green bobber stop. It'll hit there, and it'll stop. Now that's going to be your bobber up on top of the water, and all the way down there, 18 feet down, is your bait. So it'll keep your bait at exactly 18 feet underneath your bobber. I also have Patriot James make some of these, and these actually, you can get these to light up. But all slip bobbers work the same way. There you go. You can see it lit right there, and that'll glow at night. I actually got... Here's another thing from the dollar store. You can get these little glow sticks. So the Patriot James.
Yeah, I've got about 20 of those cut out. I've just got to put the swivel on them. But I've actually got a whole bunch of them made just so I can play with them this summer. Nice, John.
So here you go.
John says that he caught a nice one on a slip bobber yesterday.
Yeah, hey, there he is, and John's fishing here in Virginia right now at Bugs Island. So how's it going, John? But with these, you can see that that's glowing. This is how the Muddy River ones work. You put that on there like that, and now that's floating up at top. So at night you'll see that glowing with the Patriot James floats. Where'd I put it? Oh, there it is. The Patriot James float, it's got the glow right in it, so it's up to you. This is run by a battery. So there's two of these type of floats, Muddy River Catfishing and the Patriot James floats. They're both awesome people. They're both awesome bobbers. Check both of them out. But now that's sitting up there on the water at night, and as the catfish hits it, it's only going to go up to that bobber stop. The line will slide through till you hit the bobber stop, and then it pulls it under the water, just like your fixed position one does. But what this one does is it allows it to slide, the line to slide through it till it gets to that bobber stop. This way you can cast out. This is mainly what you want to use when you're fishing the deeper waters, or if you want to be able to like do a jig like this where you can move the bait up and down. It allows you to do it at different depths. You'll slide it up, and then bam, it'll drop back down. Slide it up and drop back down. But these both work.
And if
Now,
somebody wants
here's
to drop Patriot James's link and Muddy Rivers, I would appreciate that as well.
here's a little project for families that like to do crafts and stuff together. We used to do this a lot. Here's just a regular cork, like a wine bottle cork, or they sell corks for other things. Kids can get to paint them the colors. They can use bright yellow, orange, whatever paint, or the fluorescent markers, whatever, and make that a nice bright color. And you get your parents to drill a hole in it. And you take one of these regular swivels and you can put little epoxy, and you put that swivel in there. Now they've painted their own bobber, and you can use that as a slip bobber. There's another way. So there's a slip bobber,
which is perfect for kids. Now that's a great idea. That because like if they're younger, they can use the markers. If they're older, they can use paints. They can finger paint. They can do whatever they want to with them. They can put their names on them. We know every kid in the world likes their name on everything. So that's a great idea. And you can use Gorilla Glue too, can't you, to glue it in there?
Sure. Well, and that's right. You can use any type of glue you want to. I mean, it sticks in there. Cork is pretty whatever. You can even pop it in there and it sticks in there. But any type of little Gorilla Glue, any type of glue just to hold it in place. All you want is to hold that in there. And that's a slide sinker you can use. Now, you can do the same thing where you can get your father or mother to drill the hole all the way through. And you get the hole all the way through, and you can put your line in it. Now, there is another float. It's called a peg float, which, again, it's got the hole all the way through it.
And that's something our younger anglers will get into really fast.
Yeah.
Or those peg floats.
And there it is. It's called a peg float because there's the peg. Now you can take that cork, get the hole all the way through it, and you can take something like this straw or a toothpick or whatever and use that as the peg, but you put the line through it. And we can use this just like the fixed float that you did. So if we want that bait 3 feet below, we just go like this. Whoop, we pull it down 3 feet. Oh, tell me I dropped it.
Hey, Santi, welcome in.
You pull that line 3 feet down, and remember that line, that's what's got the hook and your leader and all that. That's got that down here, so your bait is down here. You pull it down 3 feet if you want. If you're fishing at 3 feet, you put that peg in it. You put it in that. See, your line's already going through there. You put the peg in it. Now you can peg it at a certain. That peg is fixed now. It won't slide through. So these peg floats you can use either as a fixed one like that, like I just did, or you can have it just going through. There's the hole. And you can have it just going all the way through. And now it's a slip float where you can do the same thing by using the bobber stop. And there you go. That's the differences. But the corks are awesome little projects. And you can do the same thing. You can make it a peg float if you put the hole all the way through. And you can use the little peg to peg that on the line. Then they're using their own corks that they made and painted, etc. Now, there's only one other way that we use the float. So those are all floating up on top. For cat fishermen, once you get going, and we're using bigger weights and bigger baits, we have, where did I put it? We use it. Remember, I said the main purpose of a float or a bobber is to keep your bait suspended at a certain depth in the water. Well, for those of us that use, now this is called a Santi Cooper rig, but basically all it is. It's a bottom rig. And same thing, the float is going to float your bait up off the bottom at a certain depth. So when you do it the other way, crying out loud.
I use it every time I fish.
It has not been my day today.
Oh, it's okay. You're doing great.
You got the sinker slide here, so you put your sinker on, and depending on what current or what depth, what size bait you use a heavier, a smaller or heavier sinker here. You know, we'll get into that later with different types of rigs, but you've got a sinker right there, and the sinker goes, that's going to be at the bottom. Now here's your leader, and it's coming back, and you've got a float here, and there's the hook with the bait. So what that'll do is that float, this here, it's on this is a special kind of one. It's called a Kirby Rig, but you know, we're not going to do that. It's just a float. It's just a bobber. And what that's going to do, this is your bait. That float, here's your sinker at the bottom. If you've got a, 2-foot leader, 3-foot leader, it's going to float it up here a couple feet off the bottom. So again, the same purpose, even underwater, the purpose of that float is to keep your bait up off bottom at a certain depth. Mm-hmm. So that's what a lot of the catfishermen that will use floats for is for the Santi Cooper Rig and to keep the bait up off the bottom.
Absolutely. Well, that was great, Stan. Thank you so much for going over that. That was amazing. So you showed us, let's see. So we went over 5 or 6 types of floats today. At least 5. Well, we did the cork, and we did the Patriot James the Muddy River, the 2 different ones, and then we did the regular bobbers that I explained. So we've got several different options there. We went over bobbers.
And I actually got one more real quick project that you can do with the kids too. Mm-hmm. It's a very simple, this is, mostly used if you're going to be using big baits for like big catfish. No, Central Valley, definitely not. They do not deter a bite, especially if it's, whether you're talking about up on top or even by, with the catfishing with like the Santi Cooper Rig on the bottom. There's a lot of people that say that actually attracts them. It's something, same thing as the rattles, the spooks, the whatever that we use. It's, think about it. We do with our senses. Well, the fish do the same thing. Something else to notify them that, hey, there's something over here, whether it's a flash, a rattle, a noise. It's going to be curious. And then they may see over there, they hear the other thing, they got this, and then you've got your bait over there. So no, I don't think, especially with catfish, I don't think that it will deter a bite.
And I know that even like, of course, you don't use Santi Cooper rigs, but I know like with the crappie products and the floats, they're green and yellow. So, you can definitely use top bobbers with them. And do, oh yeah, show that. Yeah, that's a good one.
But here we go. Here's another one. Real simple project you can do. I mean, you could take these clear bottles, you take the wrapper off. You can actually take fluorescent or even glow in the dark spray paint and spray it in there. But here's another way to make a glowing one at night. You take some of these glow sticks, you just shove them in the bottle. Now you take the cap like this, put a hole in the cap, you put the swivel in there. And I would use some glue or silicone right there just to make sure the water doesn't get in. But then you screw it on. And there you go. With those glow sticks in there, that's going to be floating up on top. The line's going through here. And there's a glow-in-the-dark bobber that you can float just about any size bait you want on that thing.
That's awesome. And that kind of goes to jug fishing and all of that. But that right there, kids can do that. I mean, they can mark and draw it up and make it pretty. And yep. Little girls, you can put sparkles in it or whatever you want to and turn that bottle into something special for a kid. So that's amazing. That's really great. So it looks like we had a bunch of people come in. I tried to highlight everybody as they came in. Hello, everybody. Welcome. My daughter's out there being sweet as always. And, but we're definitely going to have a giveaway. We're going to do, like I said, the pack of bobbers. And just that'll be plenty to start out with and have fun with. And let's see if we can get our giveaway tool to work tonight. We're going to give it a shot tonight. So let's see what we can do here. Okay.
34 awesome people out there still watching. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
The empty water bottles. Yep.
All right, guys. So everybody go ahead. Wait just a minute. Let's see. Okay. So everybody go ahead and stop. Go ahead and enter bobbers that would like to win. And we'll let you guys know when to stop when we start seeing things slow down. Hashtag bobbers.
Good choice. And I'll cover that tip on a different episode as far as how to find the depth of water by using a bobber.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
We'll do that on a different show. We covered a bunch of stuff tonight already.
Yeah, we did. Thank you, Ashlyn. Thank you, Stan, for going over all that. You did most of the teaching tonight, so thank you so much for that.
Oh, well, I hope I helped somebody out there.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, that it took me a long time as far as the bobber stops and the slip bobbers. We never really used a lot of that when I was younger. So that was something I kind of picked up on my own and did some experimenting with and different things. So
I'll be honest, you know, I've not, just like I explained to Stan, I've not used a lot of bobbers. So and I was making these like the Muddy River and the Patriot James. I watched how to make them, and I'm a DIY person. I try to make everything. So I've definitely got some made, but I really didn't know how you would measure, how you would put your bobber stop to get it to stop at the depth. So you showing that on the fishing rod, that just clarified everything. So I learned a lot from that. Thank you. Hey, Roger, welcome in.
we appreciate that, Lance. Lance is saying another great show. Beginner will learn something for sure.
Thank you, Lance. I appreciate that. Anybody that wants to get in on the drawing, hashtag bobbers.
Well, Ashlyn, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Is Ashlyn your daughter that you put on Facebook the other day?
That is.
She is so beautiful. You did such a great job with her, Kaz.
She is absolutely breathtaking beautiful. She's so pretty. She's got long hair now, but she that picture, I love that picture. She's so pretty in that picture. She is. I love it. And she worked really hard to get there. So
I'm sure she did.
There's Catfishing Pappy. Welcome in. Glad you came in. And just to kind of reiterate while we're waiting on everybody's hashtags to come in, you know, if you do know anybody, any kids or any new anglers, even if they want to come in and they haven't been fishing before, but they have questions, we would really like to interview them. So just email me at the catfishingwithcause@gmail.com. It's running across the bottom of the screen. There's Bugman. Hey, Bugman. And we would love to have them on. There's Jello. Hey, Jello. We're up to 35 amazing people. Love it.
I see real time out there.
Oh, yeah. I see Mr. John Parker come in. He heard me talking about it, didn't he?
I got this pole right here from him. This is just a simple telescopic cane pole.
Nice.
But he already had it hooked up and everything.
He's a good man. I really love him. I love John Parker and Miss Dana. I loved meeting them at CatCon. And there's a special picture that's included in our intro that hey Brad, let me answer that for you. Go back to episode 1 and watch all the way through.
right. That's right, Brad. And fishing could be as simple as this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure a lot of, I don't know about nowadays, but I remember back in the younger days, everybody had taken a branch or a piece of cane or whatever, a willow, and whatever you had in your area. We used to use a paper clip or a safety pin, and we'd put that up at the tip and tie the line to that. But this is the one, this is a telescopic catfishing pole that I got from Real Time from Mr. John Parker, and it's so big, but it can be as simple as that, just a cane pole like that, and it's still going.
That's right. And I mean, even, when you're using a cane pole and you don't know how to tie a knot, you tie a granny knot and drop it in the water and keep it going. I mean, that's just, you can fish with literally anything. You do not have to have special equipment. You don't have to spend a lot of money. Us catfishermen, we get in, we're fishing for big 40, 80, 100-pound fish. We're fishing for big fish. So yes, we have to have a little more detailed, equipment. But for starting out where we are at right now, you don't have to spend much at all.
The most important thing is the bigger fish you go for, the biggest thing to do is adjust your line, the pound test that you're using. If you're fishing for bluegill and crappie and things like that, yes, 4-pound test is perfect. But as you move up and you're trying to fish for even largemouth bass and pickerel and pike that get up to over 10 pounds, 15 pounds, well, that 4-pound test, that's going to be tough to catch them on. So you can get some good reels and rods, even like a ugly stick, the ugly stick combos that come with the reels, the Tiger one at Walmart, which can go from like a lightweight up to a pretty decent 20-pound test line. You can catch a whole variety of fish. So as you're going for bigger fish, adjust the weight, adjust the pound test of the line that you're using.
Yeah.
For the bigger fish.
Yeah, absolutely. And next week we're going to do some weights, and then we're definitely going to address the line because that's very important. The differences between, the different pound tests, the difference between mono, fluoro, braid. We're definitely going to go through that. And it's a very important thing. And I know as a new fisherman, that was the one thing that boggled me the most when I started buying my own equipment is to figure out, how many pound test line is, what it was and how it's used and what you use this for and mono and fluoro. So, we definitely need to get into that and show it. But has everybody got their bobbers in, their hashtags? Because I'm getting ready to draw here.
That's right. We should have the bait shop coming up on Fields to Water on Chad's channel.
Yep. All right, guys, I'm getting ready to run it. We've got 15 entries. Here we go. Whisker Dreams. All right. All right. You just send me an email at catfishingwithcause.com and send me your address on where you want me to ship those to, and I'll get those out to you. Definitely. Congratulations. That's awesome. So I managed to get the giveaway tool to work. Yes.
Every week, better and better, Kyle. I told you, every single week.
Well, guys, thank you so much for coming and spending an hour with us. And, we really, really appreciate you. And we'll be here next week, same time, same channel. And you guys can definitely catch me later on Pontoon Jody's Flathead Challenge. That's going to be from 10 to 2. I'll be on the boat fishing tonight. Excited about that. And
I'll be sitting right here.
That's right. Sam's going to host it for us. So it's going to be amazing. And there are a lot of giveaways. So there's a lot of fun stuff going to happen tonight. We're going to have a great time. So after you watch the bait shop, then head on over and hang out with us and do some fishing.
You got bait shop, and then you've got Panfish Nation, and then it's pontoon.
That's right, because we cannot forget about Panfish Nation. That's a great show.
33 awesome people. Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys. Well, we're going to go ahead and jump off. I sure do hope everybody has a great night, and I'll see you at 10 o'clock.